Alright, so this is Matt Mrozik. This will be work in progress number 3 on the Hellboys trifecta build. Last time I left you, excuse me, I got all the arms pinned and epoxied, and those have dried for 24 hours. Actually, kind of, it's not really a mistake, but it's kind of funny. I accidentally put the arm from one of the 2 kits on my kit, and then vice versa, so the arms are kind of, 2 arms are switched, but it's no big deal because they're the same pieces. So I did that, got the legs pinned in epoxy, those are in place. All the bases have been magnetized with the feet, so those are all good. I was getting low on magnets, so for my base, my personal base, they're not as strong, but it's okay, they'll still work. So you can see all those right there, all standing up. So the next step I want to do is I want to get the heads attached to the torsos, because that's like really the last bit of putty work that this kit will need. Major putty work. So what I'm going to do, and I did find out on one of my clients' kits that I'm going to have to resculpt the nose. I did not notice this, but this half of this nose is missing. So I'm going to have to go back in there and resculpt that half of the nose, which shouldn't be too difficult. At least the whole thing's not missing. That would have been tough for me to do, but I think I can make half a nose. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these. First, we're going to do. We're going to pin an epoxy with the 30-minute or 5-minute epoxy, and then once that's secure, I'll go back in with the Aves epoxy and smooth blend everything. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole for a pin, and I'm just going to kind of guesstimate kind of center. My drill bits are getting dull. This resin eats up drill bits. I'm not sure what kind of resin it is, but it tears them up pretty good. So I'm going to get it, hopefully one that's a little bit sharper. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. This is a 1/4-inch drill bit. And the pin I'll be using is smaller than that. Like that, and then like what I did with the arms, I'm just going to drill some shallow holes around. This will give the epoxy something a little more to bite into. Just a few. That. So I got the center hole for my pin, and I got a bunch of small shallow holes around that. Now we're going to get one of the heads. It really doesn't matter which head. And we're going to do my little blue tack trick. This. I'll put it down here in the middle. That, and we're going to get this squeeze, and there's my pin location. Mark that and drill a hole there. Yeah. Not right now, but I'm doing a video. I can in a little bit. Give me some time. I'll do it. All right. So there's the hole for the pin. And again, we're going to drill some small shallow holes just around the perimeter here. Okay. I'll make you one in a little bit. Okay. It's almost making a paper airplane. Okay. There we go. Small shallow holes for the epoxy. Not the epoxy, yeah, the epoxy. Let me get some pins out here. And we're just going to use a Use 1/8 again. And we're going to roughen this up. Same process as before. And we're going to put that in there. And we're just going to cut it about. It went flying across the room. Make sure it's not too long. It is all. Okay, so that's perfect. In there nicely. Okay, so now we'll mix up some epoxy. So I'm going to get my alcohol ready for cleanup. Popsicle stick to mix it. Some paper towels. So I'll be mixing up quite a bit of epoxy here, so it'll kind of ooze out and give me a good bond. All right. Just mixing, got the epoxy off under the camera here. There. Oops, sorry. And get my popsicle stick. And my bench is again a disaster because I'm in full production building mode, and when I am, it's just a wreck. There's stuff everywhere. All right, so I've got quite a bit mixed up here. So I want this to kind of ooze out a little bit. And since I've got so much mixed up, it'll kick off quicker as it heats up. It starts to cure. Okay. Just that. Take this pin out for now. Forcing down into this hole. Basically fill that up all the way. Put the pin in there, like that. Holding the guy right there. I'm going to fill in this hole. And then we're going to pour some around the perimeter here. Kind of where I got those holes drilled. And this should ooze out a little bit. Got quite a bit going on in there. And I'm just going to set it in there and see if anything comes out. Maybe not. I have just the right amount in there. Oh, there we go. A little bit came out, no biggie. Kind of planned for that. I'm getting my paper towels with some alcohol on it. Clean up any excess as it comes out. And just got to make sure it's kind of lined up as best as possible. Right about there. So now as this cures, I'll be able to go in there with the Aves and fill in that gap and get it all blended in nice and smooth. So I'm going to pause for now while this kicks off, and then when I come back, I'll do a time lapse of the other two. Okay, so we got all the heads on and epoxied, and just clean up this last one right here. This was my personal kit right here, and the head wasn't fitting in there very well. So during that little time lapse, I took the Dremel and shaved it down a little bit on the inside, and it's fitting better now. It's a little doesn't fit quite as well as the other ones, but in the end it'll be all fine and dandy once I go in there and fill the gap and everything. So I'm just going to hold this here for a little bit while this epoxy sets up, and then we'll come back and we'll do the next step in this work in progress. Okay, so while the epoxy in the head is curing, I'm going to go ahead and add the magnets for the holstered guns on these guys. So I'm going to be using, these are, that's not the right size. This is in the wrong container. I forgot what size these are, so let me get a drill bit and tell you. I think these are 3/16, at least 1/4 inch, maybe 1/4 inch. 1 second, as I check the size. Yeah, so these are 1/4 inch by I think an 1/8 inch magnets. So same process as usual. I'm going to drill a hole into the gun. Hand my camera up a little bit. I drill a hole into the gun where the magnet's going to go. And I've got a 1/4 inch drill bit in there already, so I'm going to put it in the biggest part right here. About there. And we're going to do our blue tack trick again on the pants. Bring it up here, and let's see where we want this to kind of land. Probably right in here somewhere. That, give it a little push, and there's where the magnet's going to go. And then we'll do the same thing here. We're going to mark the center like so. Drill our corresponding hole. so. And then, so this doesn't matter which head. So when this is on like this, this gun will sit right in there, which looks right about right. Okay, so get my stack of magnets. Yeah, we're gonna push one in there. Not going in all the way, so I want to drill that hole a little bit more. There we go. So put one in there. And we're going to glue it in. That. Hit with some zip kicker. Let that sit for a second. Check the polarity. Okay. Actually, I'm going to pull it up a little bit. Oops. I pulled that out. Didn't want to do that. Oops. All right. We're going to fill that in with our baking soda mixture again. I'm going to find my cardboard. Don't need a whole lot for this one, so there's not much there. We don't have a big hole to fill. Again, you just don't want to use plain super glue to hold the magnet in. It will come out over time. You want to use some sort of putty or this baking soda trick. Will ensure that it never comes out. All right, so let that cure up. And I'm going to check the polarity, see which way I need to go in on the body. So I can stop dropping the magnets. So that's okay, so I need to go in. I'm going to mark this side. It's the side that goes in. Yep. Okay. So same thing over here. Let's see how tight the fit is. Hey guys, stop doing whipped cream shots. The kids are downstairs stuffing their face full of whipped cream right now. And we're going to put that in. Like that. And then we're going to do this again, fill that in with some of our baby powder super glue mixture. Maybe not get it out. We'll see. I get that hole really close to a detail line, so I'll make sure I don't get any of this mixture in there. So I don't want to rescribe it. Okay. So there's that. So I'm going to pause and then sand this when I come back. Alright, so this is drying up to sand. So this is, again, rinse and repeat. We're going to sand this down on the leg and the gun. And then we'll repeat for the other one. So let's do a time lapse again. Okay, so we got the magnets installed and sanded down, and now we will have, where to go? Magnetized guns. Just like that. Like that. So yeah. So I'll do the other three like that, and we'll be in business. So yeah, if it goes down like that, it's going to be loose. So kind of use kind of the friction a little bit against the belt for it to stay up, but. So we'll do 3 more like that, and then I think after I do the guns, the next thing I can do is I can probably putty the necks. So today I get the guns magnetized, the necks puttied, and maybe I can get like the tail pin, do some more pinning and stuff. So we'll see how far we get today, but I'm going to pause for now and do the other guns, and we'll come back and do something else. It's just I'm doing it 3 times now. So everyone has pretty much asked for the exact same things I did last time, except for one person has asked for more trinkets and a custom sticker on the bottom. So like here I am right now. I just got done priming the pants or the legs in black primer. So those are drying right now. I did have one kit that came in pretty beat up actually. This one in particular, I've already gone through and fixed some of the things. Like it's missing one of the straps on the back of the boots got broken. I had to fix one of the buckles on the boots got broken off. It was missing half its nose. I had to sculpt the nose last night, and it actually looks really, really good. I'm not a sculptor, but I impressed myself. So this kit in particular was banged up and shipping quite a bit. But I've gone through and I fixed everything. I just noticed that it was missing the strap on the back of the boot when I was priming it. So once this dries, I'll sand it. What I'll do is the last thing tonight before I go to bed is I'll sculpt a little strap out of Aves and let that dry overnight. I don't want to do it right now because I want to do some other stuff to this today before I do that. And then over here I've got the upper torsos primed, and the horns primed. Basically anything's going to get red. And in priming these the first time, these castings they're not bad. They're just not as clean as the first one I did, so they're going to take a little more love. A little more prep work, sanding and stuff, same old, same old. I did try a new method of magnetization. I'm going to show you that to you real quick on just one of them. Let me put it over here real quick and get the hands. And this was, give me 1 second. Okay, so what I did this time, let's see, is, I think I'm still recording. Can't tell you. Sorry, the screen goes out. What I did this time is instead of just doing like a magnet in here and a magnet in the arm, I actually used magnets with holes in them, and I put a metal pin coming out of the arm. And this works pretty good. And then basically this pin will go in there, and each of these is custom fit to the particular statue. So the way I do that is basically after I get this all figured out, I slather this end with petroleum jelly, and then I put a big old blob of like body filler in there, and I put the hand on, and I just kind of push it into place and let all that Bondo squeeze out. And once that dries, I can take the hand off and clean up the Bondo, and now each hand is specifically custom fit to that statue, so that fits on there just like that. And then the same thing with the gun hand. If I can get the skewer out. Come on, there we go. This primer would be dry enough to paint on, but not dry enough to sand, so I'm going to wait to do that. And then this goes in here like this, and again, it just fits in there perfectly, and it stays in there really nicely. So the new way of doing magnets, those And what I like about it is that it's strong enough to hold this in place, but it doesn't want to like slam it up into the hand. So basically for the gun hand, because they're a little bit heavier, you have to kind of put them in there and get them to fit, and just give them a little twist, and they'll stay. But it's just enough to hold it in place. Of course, the one without the gun stays a little bit better because it's not as heavy, but it still works with these just as fine. Just like that. Oops. I say it works. Put it in there and give it a little twist. It was working. Put it in, give it a little twist, and it should stay, just like that. So again, slide that with petroleum jelly, put a magnet in here, slide this in, and give it a little twist. And it stays. So yeah, we'll try that out. Hopefully that works. It was working yesterday pretty good. You can feel it want to pull it up in there. Just a matter of kind of getting it set just right. Like I said, each of these is custom fit to the particular statue. And the way I'm keeping these all separated is I have them marked. Like this is one client. So they'll have the first initial of who these belong to on the bottom of each base and everything. So yeah, that should work. So just a really quick, really an update. I'm going to let all this primer dry for a while. Ideally, I'd like to get all the torso sanded down. You can see here in the face, I've got some rough spots. My putty work's actually really good from doing the neck and stuff. They have some air bubbles that popped out. This casting in particular has a couple rough spots here and there, a couple of bubbles here. Yeah, but you know, it's just part of the process. And so these will get us sanding. Most of this primer will be sanded off, just like the first time I did these. And then hopefully by the time I get the second round of primer on, we'll be good to go. So that's just a really quick update on this. Really not any how-tos or anything. I guess when I start painting these guys, I'll do some videotaping. So I'm not going to call this work in progress over yet. I'm just going to call this as an update for now, and we'll see where I get today. I need to let all this primer dry for a while because right now I'm kind of at a holding point on these. I'm not going to worry about the accessories till after I get all this done, so I can do all those at the same time. So yeah, I want to do these in the stages. So I'm going to do all the red at the same time, do all the legs at the same time. You know, just that way it's more of an assembly line process. But we're getting there. So I'm doing 3 of these at one time, which is, you know, it's not hard. The hardest part is keeping all the parts separate, which go to which kit. So yeah, so I'm not going to call this video over yet until I see what else I get done today. But so stay tuned for what I do next. Not sure what that is yet. So we'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, continue on with this work in progress. I was showing you how I had the hands magnetized earlier, the gun hand and the other hand. And I was trying a new method from what I did the first time on the first Hellboy I did. The first Hellboy I did, I used half-inch diameter magnets by 1/4 inch thick. Very large. I don't have any right now. I'm out of those. I buy those a lot. I use those a lot because they're really good. Good thing about those is they're very strong. But it's also a bad thing because anytime I would try to go put the hand in, it would want to snap it up in there. So it's a lot of like, and a good chance of chipping the paint or anything. Not that you're going to be switching the hands out a lot. I rarely see people display these without the gun hand just because it's so cool. And also, so the positive thing about those magnets is they're very strong. The downside is that they're maybe a little too strong. Another downside is installing them. Being half-inch in diameter, they barely fit in the arm here. So when I was doing that first Hellboy, I had to several times basically fix the resin on the outside, get it. I had to actually epoxy it together and sand it and blend it, just because it barely fits in here. And this resin's very brittle. So a friend of mine who's doing a Hellboy recommended this way, and it seemed like it was going to work, but then it kind of didn't work. So basically what I did is I used some magnets with a hole in the middle, and these are half-inch in diameter, the same diameter as the other ones I used, but I didn't put them in the arm. I only put them in the hands. So there's a hole in the middle here. You can see that. And what I did is I stacked two of these magnets in each of the hands. So there's 2 magnets in this hand right now with the hole in the middle. Well, at first it seemed like it was going to work great, like because I have this is a music wire, so it's magnetic, so it wants to stick. But you can see here it kind of wants to slide out. It's not strong enough for the application that I'm doing. So what I did, and I just kind of had a realization last night, I should have done this. Again, this is all part of the learning process, trying new things and figuring things out. So the last thing I wanted to do was try to dig the magnets out of this thing. I would have destroyed the hand. I would have like obliterated the hand trying to get them out because they're in there pretty deep and they're thick. So what I did is I went to this hobby store and I bought myself some brass tubing. This is 3/32 in diameter. So the outside is 3/32, but the inside diameter happens to fit a 1/8 rod perfectly. I've already done the other two Hellboys, and this is a winner chicken dinner situation here. So this is what I'm going to do on the next Hellboys going forward, but now I'll know in which order I should do it. So what I should have done, if I would have known that I was going to have problems, I should have drilled my hole, a 3/32 hole into the resin, put a sleeve in there, and then put magnets on top of that. Well, since the magnets already are in there, and luckily there's a hole in the middle, I was able to take a drill and just drill out that hole in the magnets to a 3/32 diameter. So now what I can do is that between the friction of that sleeve and the magnets, let's see, let me get this in there. These are not going to come off. I can shake it, I can do all sorts of stuff, and they're not going to come off. So I just put that in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out. I got just enough metal showing to pull it out, so I want to glue it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. Maybe this one's stuck in there. It's okay if I don't need to glue it. I mean, but I'd rather glue it just be on the safe side. Okay, so I just pull that out. And on this, I'm just using a little CA. It's a very tight fit. And I just basically need a little glue to kind of keep it from coming out over time. Again, I don't know how often guys like switch things out on their statues. Like when I do my Hellboy, I probably won't even paint the open hand just because the gun hand is so cool. And this CA is getting a little old. I buy this by the big bottles, but over time it does kind of age, and it still works. It just thickens up. It's a little harder to squeeze out. So basically, I'm gonna put that on there. So I got some medium or thick CA on that tube now, and I'm gonna put it in the hand like that. I'm just going to push it down into the hole as far as it'll go. Oops, come on. I'm off camera again, guys. Sorry. All right, I'm going to have to pull this out because it wasn't going down all the way. And I think, yeah. So now I have to cut a new tube. See, this is a good thing about me doing videos. You get to see me kind of work through problems because a lot of model building, actually a good portion of model building, is problem solving, trying to figure things out. So another reason why I like to do these videos, because it's nothing ever goes quite as planned. So give me a second here. I need to cut some of this tubing off for this big piece. Hopefully that glue didn't prevent me from putting this in. Okay, there we go. As I put that in, I'm going to mark it. Mark how long it needs to be, right there with a Sharpie. Pull it back out. Cut that. And then I'm just going to take some rough sandpaper and scuff it up on the outside so the glue has something to stick to a little bit better. This also will help deburr the brass. And then before I put this in, I like to make sure it will slide well over this, and it does. So there's just between the magnet and just a slight bit of friction here, it's like a really good fix. And actually what I'm going to do, I was going to leave that on there. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to do it this way. Like the way I tried just a second ago. sometimes I think what was happening earlier is that this hole, if you've ever drilled a magnet, it's not fun. All that dust that is created from drilling a magnet likes to stick to the magnets because it's magnets. So I'm just taking this brass rod right here and I'm just kind of making sure that that's a clear path so I can insert the rod I just cut. Just like that. Okay. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on this. It's a tight fit. I don't need a lot. That may have been my problem. I put a little too much on. A little bit there. A little bit there. And as this goes in, it should spread the glue out a little bit on the tube anyway. There we go. Okay, now it's in. All right, and then I'm going to hit with the little zip kicker right here. And then I'll have to go in here and I'll have to clean up this opening. This brass rod a little bit. So the magnets still work because brass is a non-magnetic material, so it still works through the brass rod. So between the magnets and that rod, I get just enough friction and magnetic pull that is not going to come off. So that's how I fix that problem. So they come off relatively easy and they go on relatively easy, but there's just enough resistance there for this to work. So that's how I solved that problem. And you can see over here I did the other ones, and those are all good to go. So the next step I need to do on these guys is, so today's goal is Saturday. Today's goal is to finish cleaning these up. I do have to fix another problem. See, another problem I have to fix. When I was drilling a pin for this horn, my drill bit, I've broken off so many drill bits in these kits this time. I didn't have that problem last time. I don't know what it is, but I broke off a drill bit in this hole, so now the hole's too big and the horn doesn't want to stay. So basically what I have to do is I have to take some of the body filler, Bondo body filler. I have to fill this hole up and then put the horn in and let that dry. So you put the body filler in, you put Vaseline all around what you're trying to put in there, and so it doesn't stick, and then you put it in there. So I'll show that to you guys here in a second. So I got to fix that. That shouldn't take too long. And then this is the second round of primer on these guys, and they look really, really good. There's a few little areas I've got to go in and touch up a little bit. All three of them have this little, and you can't even tell it right now, but right here on the chin, there's like a little discrepancy in the surface of the resin, and all three of them have it. So that's just something in the molds that's there. I don't remember the first one having it. Maybe I had sanded it out and I didn't realize it. So I gotta sand that out on these guys. All the horns and tails have been sanded and reprimed. Those look really good. And then on this one over here, let me take it off this torso. Take the gun hand out, just be safe. This one had a couple little rough areas. Just some discrepancies in the resin I got to sand out. So I'll probably have another, I'd say 30 minutes of prep work on these guys. The putty work is really good. The seams blended seamlessly. And this time around that first one I did, I had a hell of a time, not really necessarily blending the bottom of the neck here, but it's so hard to get in there with sandpaper once that's in there. So when I was doing my A's work, I took a lot of time to try to smooth that out as best as I could. And then I went in there with a Dremel on a slow rotation, just kind of really lightly blended the putty, and it looks great. These look better than the first one I did. And the first one, you really couldn't even tell. So, yeah. So we got to do that. And like I see a little bit of a mold line right here I got to fix. So this is like I got to go through and refine the cleanup just a little bit more on these guys. So today's goal is to do that, fix the horn, and get the skin sprayed. So that's a great objective today. If I can get that done while the skin is drying, I can start working on the pants. And that's a fun process because they're super, super detailed. And everyone's asking me, how are you keeping three kits, separate? Because you're working on three at the same time, they all have the same parts. Well, on the torsos and on the legs, I have an initial written down. So on this is L for Leo. This is W, and this is D. So they all are initialed. So once I get all these like this stage done, and I have a block of foam over there with all the other parts on it, up there, and that foam is segmented based on which kit those parts go to. So that's where I am right now. So yeah, so I've got today to work on these, tomorrow, and then Monday, because I'm off on Monday. So my goal is to get the skin sprayed. Today, get that done, start working on the leather of the pants, because that will take a while. The technique I use is a slow process, but it looks really, really freaking fantastic. So if I can get the skin done and the leather done on the belts today, I'll be in really good shape, and we'll see where we are. Because the last time I did the last belt I did the belt alone took me over a day to do. But again, I've done one before. I've learned a few things, so hopefully I'll get a little further along with that. So I think I'm going to call this work in progress. I don't know. I'm not going to call it done yet, because I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix my little horn issue here. And then after I get all the prep done and ready to spray, that'll be the end of this work in progress. And then the next one will be like putting on the skin and stuff. So stay tuned for the next part. All right, so we're going to get this this fixed here in the head where this horn goes. And the trick is that right now the hole's too big because I messed up when I was drilling it. The drill bit broke off inside the hole. And this needs to sit at a particular angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one in on this side. And if you don't know that these are actually keyed, the right horn has a triangle for a key and the left one has a square. So you can't mess up which side they go in. And they're keyed to be at a specific angle. So when I put that one in there, you can kind of see the angle that that's supposed to be at. So when I put this in there, when I do the body filler on this, I'm going to have to basically kind of hold this in place so I get the right angle. I don't want this like way over here. That would look stupid. It needs to be up here. So I've got what I'm going to do first before I mix up my body filler, and I've showed this trick before. The only thing you have to do after this, make sure that you wash the part really, really good. I'm going to take some petroleum jelly. This is a great little tool to have on your workbench when you want to kind of get something to fit without sticking together. And I'm just going to kind of coat this in petroleum jelly, and this will keep the Bondo from sticking to it. And I always put more on than I need, so it'll wash off easily with soap and water. Just like that. Because I don't want to glue this into place. I just want to re-key it. Okay. I'm going to put that to the side for now. And I got a little bit of my handy dandy body filler right here. I'm going to put just a little bit of hardener. I don't need a lot. About there. It's actually probably too much for the amount of filler I have. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one out for now. Take a sanding sponge and just sand the inside of that. Make sure I got good adhesion. And this will get primed again right here. So it's okay if I sand through the primer. Like I mentioned before, I got a few little areas on each of these where I have to go through and finalize a cleanup. They each have that spot on the chin I got to fix. And then each of these busts have just a few little minor areas that need a little more sanding to get some of the stuff out. I'm just trying to sand the inside. Another thing I'm going to do actually real quick, I'm going to lightly go in there with a Dremel, super, super light, and kind of, again, just kind of scuff it up in there. I want this filler to stick really well. I don't want it coming off later. And you really need bare resin for it to work properly anyway. So, I mean, you may put it on there on like primer, and eventually it could come off. So I'm going to get this. I'm just put this on real low power. I'm just going to go in here and just scuff this up in here. I'm adding a new key, so it's okay if this is messy. That's all I need. So now you can see I got mostly bare resin. I'm going to mix up my filler. And I got too much again. It's so hard to make up just a tiny amount. Hey, Owen, can you turn that down, please? My son's downstairs when the TV gets so loud up here. And I'm able to use some of this filler to do just a little cleanup on some areas too. All right, so I'm going to put some of this in here. Ooh, I don't want that. Okay. It's going to be messy at first. Just going to stick that down in there. So basically I want to fill up that key that I had to kind of drill out to get the drill bit out, kind of like that. I'm going to put this one in over here. And that key's in perfectly. And I got this one with the square. And we're going to put it in there. Let that ooze out. And I'm going to hold it here till this cures. So this will do two things. It'll give me a new square key. So I can take this in and out and you can swap it out with the broken one. And it'll fill in that hole that I had to drill out. So I'm going to pause this and come back after this is dried. Okay, so this had plenty of time to dry. So now I can, hopefully this will come out. It should, like that. So now you see I've got a nice new key in there. Fits perfectly with the horn. All I have to do is sand this down a little bit. And just make this flush. And all that excess will come off from doing this. And I'll go get the cutoff one and make sure it still fits properly. And technically, I could probably get away with, like on other kits, I could probably get away with without using a metal pin. If I went through and kind of did this on all of these, and just made a really tight key, I could probably get away without having to actually pin these. Just got to sand all the excess off. And I'll give this a bath after I go through and right before I spray my last thing of primer. Usually I'll get another soapy bath just to make sure I get all any residue and stuff off. So I'm constantly washing parts to make sure I've got good clean surface to prime and paint on. Toothbrush here used to get excess dust out, and I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe this off. This will get a nice bath, like I said, but I'm gonna wipe off as much of this petroleum jelly as I can. And there's a little filler that got stuck to it. It's no big deal. So now when I put that in there, it's at the perfect angle and it fits beautifully. So now we got those horns like that. So I'm just going to play with an idea real quick just to see. Take this pin out just for a second. That's in there pretty good. I'm just going to take this pin out and see how tight of a fit it is without the pin. I don't want to do that. I may crack the resin. Like I said, this is brittle resin. Just going to see if I can get this horn to go further down into the key there. Yeah, he does. He has to push it in. I may cut this key a little, just pin a little short. Let's cut that down a little bit. I think it's too long. I don't need a lot. Just a little one. There we go. It was too long. It's going to be cut down. You know what? I may go through. It didn't take very long to do that. I may go through and do that on all these because look at how nice and tight fit that is. And it comes in and out pretty easily. I'm going to go with the broken off horns real quick. Because again, if that key is like a perfect fit, probably is no real reason to have pins. Okay, so that fits in there pretty good. So you will notice, like on the cutoff version, there's a little bit of a gap around there, but because that's a different, you know, these diameters aren't exactly the same, so that's fine. It was like that on the first one I did anyway. And they just sit in there and they come out real easily, just like that. So I may go through and rekey these. Let me see. Let me check the other ones real quick on the other heads, or on the other. Yeah, so let's put that there. Again, this is all an effort just to get these looking as good as possible. Let's see how that goes. Gotta keep these guns straight. The gun hands only fit. They fit a specific one of these kits. Like if I was to take this gun from this turn and put on there, it wouldn't fit, just because you know, all the pins are slightly different. So like on this one, I don't know, it fits in there pretty good. I think I'm just going to leave it. I think they're fine. Yeah, so that's good. They're at the right angle. Yeah, I think we're good there. Let's look at the other one. Yeah, this one looks good too. So I think we're good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this first one here that I just did the rekeying on. I'm going to give the torso a nice, good once-over inspection. That's in the, there we go. Okay, so on this guy, keep these horns to the right body. Let's see what needs to be worked on. So like I said, they all have this little rough spot on the chin right here. And you really can't see it now, but as soon as I start sanding, you'll see it. So that needs to be taken care of. I'm actually going to use some sandpaper. I can get it to a sharper edge. Get where I need, and then I can. So if I come in here, you can see there's like a little, I don't know, it's like some resin sludge or something, but it's in all three pieces. So it's either either that's a part of the mold that kind of was starting to break down a little bit, or it's in the original sculpt. I don't remember it being there in the first Hellboy I did, but it doesn't mean it wasn't there. I probably just sanded it out when I was doing my cleanup. So the sandpaper I use is 320, but then I'm going to go back and go over this with a superfine sanding sponge to bring these scratches down to around 600. So again, this is me being pretty nitpicky on prep. Everyone's like, why don't you do this full time? I keep telling people I can't build fast enough to do this full time. I can't crank these out in a week. Hellboy I could probably do it. I could probably do it in a week now. I've done enough of them where I can, I know what I'm getting into pretty well. I was chatting with John Elred, and he's like, yeah, it's like you need to, if you want to do this full time, you need to get the amount of time you spend on these cut in half to what you're doing. And he's like, it's just a matter of the more you do, the quicker you get, which is true. You learn different processes that are more efficient and stuff, but still, I'm not there yet. Okay, so that's done on that one. I have to do that on the other ones. I'm not going to show you that on the other ones. Let's see. I just got some. Okay, let's look this over real quick. And I'm just going to spot prime the areas that get worked on. So, like those on the chin of that one, I'm going to hit this area that I just did here real lightly. So this is the super fine sanding sponge, and this has been used quite a bit. So this is, I think 3M says this is an equivalent to like a 600 grit sanding paper, but since it's been so used, it's actually higher than that. You got a little kind of discrepancy here I want to take care of. That. Let's go to the chest real good. Let's see. Do I see anything that needs any work? I want to be real picky. There's a little spot right here. Try to sand out. Let's see what else we got. I think this guy looks good. Got a little something going on here on this arm. Not sure what that is. Looks like I got some fish eyes or something. Fish eyes when you have a little contamination on the surface and that the primer or paint acts kind of funny, reacts to it. So I may have had something on the surface there. We'll take care of that, and I think he's good. So he'll get a bath and he'll be ready for his last. Oops. We'll wash him down and he'll be ready for his last little bit of spot priming. Let's look at number 2 here. I think this guy, for the most part, looks pretty good, if I remember correctly. Again, I got that spot on the chin I got to take care of, so let's just go ahead and do it on camera. Even though I said I wasn't going to do it on camera, I'll do it anyway. So you can see like right here, there's like a little edge. So this primer is acting as what's called a guide coat. As you sand it, you'll see all the little errors that you normally wouldn't see just by looking at it. They all pop up when you start sanding it. That's done. Let's see. What else do I got going on here? Got a tiny little air bubble. I'm seeing that now. This kit right here, this is one was had some, I don't know, this one had a lot of air bubbles for some reason. There's some like glazing putty in there. Just push it down really good. The thinner you put it on, the faster it dries. So we're just gonna hit. I got a few little air bubbles I'm seeing here. Try to just basically push it down there and wipe the excess off for the most part. I'll let that dry for a few minutes. I'll be able to sand that excess off, no problem. Let's see, so we got the chin taken care of, those little air bubbles. I think that's all I'm seeing on this guy. Alright, so we'll let that putty dry for a little bit, and then we'll sand it down, and he'll be ready to go. And then let's look at this last one. This one I had, again, a little thing on the chin. And he's got a couple little rough spots on the chest. A couple other areas I'm seeing. It's in a tight spot. It's like right there above his goatee. There we go. That's pretty good. Let's take care of that. Okay, got a little thing right here below this horn. Take care of that. I don't know if you can see it in camera, but I got these little like specks poking out. I'm not sure what that is, what it's from, but it's there. Got it here, and then underneath both pec too. Oops, sorry about that. pretty good. Dang it, I keep getting... Let's see what else on this guy. A little bit down here. Again, this is just getting the very last little nitpicky surface defects that I don't like. Hey, Les, you downstairs? My dog is chewing on something. I don't know what she's chewing on. But I can't stop. Again, right in here. I don't know what these are. This kit had them. Kind of had these all over. All right. I don't know if she has, but she's chewing on something. What'd she get? Alright, so they're outside by the creek. You can call her on her phone. Oh, and I still see the seam line, mold line a little bit here on this guy. I'll take care of that. There. And let's check this side. This side looks okay. Really just on this side that I see it. And that'll be good. So we got rid of those spots. The chin. Okay. A little bit down here in the back too, and I think he'll be good. Okay, so I'm finally gonna call this work in progress done. I'm just gonna finish up sanding those few little areas. I'll wash them and prime them, and then the next video will be spraying the base coat for the skin. So I'm not sure how long this video is. It's probably pretty long, but stay tuned for the next video, which will be spraying skin. This is Matt Rosick. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.